All right, everybody, meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. Very, very strong thunderstorms bringing heavy rain to some areas of North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa getting hit very hard by severe weather tonight. We have wet and cool weather to start your work week on Monday the 18th. But for tonight, this Sunday night, I'm going to spell out, well, areas that got missed. Fargo didn't get a lot of rain. Why? Where did it go, Hutch? Well, we talked about this last week, but we're going to talk about it again. Big time snow in the Rocky Mountains. In fact, winter storm criteria there in some areas with over a foot of snow expected, and that's not all just in the mountains either. We're going to go over all of our area weather. We'll talk about our severe weather ongoing right now, and remember, it wouldn't be Hutch's weather without your questions, but we're going to start with the wet weather. Here is a look at rainfall estimates by Doppler radar. Check it out. Tornado warnings, by the way, outside of Omaha, northwest Iowa, southern parts of Minnesota, seeing some tornadoes hit the ground for the night tonight. Hey, everybody, I see you logging on, and I can't wait to get to your questions and feedback. Here's what's going on. Notice Fargo, there's a little bite taken out of the rainfall, but these bright colors are estimates of fairly high rainfall amounts. Now, let's zoom into this Fargo area here. As we go out into western parts of Cass County, this pink here, that's some heavy rain. What did you get? In the comments below, drop a measurement that you got from the rainfall in your rain gauge, because I want to know, and so does the National Weather Service. And by the way, for a limited time, I still have some of my Hutch's weather rain gauges that measure. Look at these, are 14 inches tall, and it measures to 1/100th of an inch. They're very accurate, and they're what we use to really track that rainfall amount. So get that order in today, and thanks to all of you who have ordered. Now, number one, from Steele area here in Kidder County, western parts of Stutzman County, what are these purple numbers that we see on the map here? Let's go ahead and highlight that. The radar is estimating that in parts of eastern Barnes County, western parts of Cass County, 1.6 or 1.7 inches of rain. Now, I told you last week that we can't always forecast with great detail exactly where a thundercloud is going to move over. We had some light showers here in South Moorhead, and I had about 1/10 of an inch in my rain gauge, my Hutch Johnson, Hutch's weather rain gauge here in parts of South Moorhead. Let's see if that correlates with what we're seeing for the area. So this is saying about 2/10 of an inch here as we go south of Dilworth and Glendon. And as we zoom in on south parts of Moorhead, yeah, 1 to 2/10 of an inch of rain is the estimate by Doppler radar. That's not too far with what fell in my gauge. How about your gauge? I can't wait to hear. West Fargo, a little more juicy in West Fargo and Riley's Acres with 2 to 3/10 of an inch, but nothing near the amount that we saw in Argusville, around 4/10 of an inch. Are these close to what you're seeing in your gauge? Hutch wants to know. Now, as we go out towards Rogers and Daisy, we're seeing 1.7 inches of estimated rain. Big winners out here towards the Kidder County area, and I'm not kidding. Steele with 1.1 to 1.2 inches of rain. Now, get up here north of Lake Sakakawea. We have some wet weather there as well. Minot picking up much needed, 1/2 inch of rain there. Stanley, they picked up about 9/10 estimated by Doppler radar, and up here between West Hope and Kenmare, about the same. So 3/4 of an inch. Killdeer, now look at this. Was there no rain in Beach? Are you kidding? How can you go to the beach without some rain? Well, this is Doppler radar estimated rain. And when you get out here about 200 miles from the radar in the Bismarck area, boom, you get in radar no man's land, and it doesn't do a good job of estimating. The next closest radar is out in Glasgow, Montana, and it can't see this far either. So this border county area here between Montana and North Dakota doesn't have the greatest weather coverage from Doppler radar. And that is quite simply why some of these instruments don't show up. Now, we are starting to see the rain spill its way over. Pardon me while I get some water here, because Hutch likes to talk a lot. Good old lemon water. Okay, now as you go up towards Karlstad, Foston, Ada here in Monoman County in the northwest part. Hey, Gary, we're looking at your area as well. Let's zoom it right on in. Okay, Erskine, about 4/10 of an inch. Fertile, about 4/10 of an inch. But Gary has a little hot pocket right there of about 3/4 of an inch. Is that right? East of Gary, did you get that? Okay, so that's what's going on now. This rain activity is moving up to the north and to the east right now. We're in a little bit of a lull right here as we go into the late evening hours, and that's the way things are going. So we looked at rainfall estimates. Now let's look at what actually fell in the rain gauges across the region. Here, let me see. I think my computer here is not liking what I'm telling it here. Let's see. Okay, I got to look for a little, oh, there it is. Okay, sorry about that. Now let's see if I can clear those out. There we go. So as we take a look at the radar right now across the nation and the region, what you're going to notice is in Fargo, we are not seeing a lot going on here, but just south of us, Hankinson, a healthy dose of rain moving through southern Richland County right there at the border. And we got Millbank seeing some scattered showers crossing over the border, heading into the Twin Cities right now, rumbling thunderstorms, but the strong and severe ones are south. Mankato, do you see this backwards C shape here? That is indicative of a very gusty straight line wind that's going to be working its way through. So the straight line wind is coming at you from the west, and it's heading in towards Wells and Owatonna eventually. And this storm here is going to have a capable of mainly producing some wind damage just by looking at the radar display there. Now, the threats. A tornado is possible. There is a tornado watch down in parts of these areas. Gusts to 60 miles per hour. Hail to 1¼ inch in diameter from a few of these cells as well. As it moves off to the east-northeast at about 35 miles per hour as it makes its way through. A little closer look showing Mankato and St. Clair and Janesville all in the path of this storm right now, crossing over the Highway 83 corridor right now. So Waseca and also out towards Waterville will be in the path of that particular thunderstorm cell. Is there any rotation in that storm right now? Let's see what the radar is showing there real quickly. And we are seeing basically from the radar site, let me make sure that I'm looking at the right radar site here. And yeah, we're looking at the Twin Cities radar so we can get a good close look. And there is some air moving toward the radar out ahead of it and then away from the radar on the backside. So there is a little shear along that gust front that's pushing out. So we do have some spin in that. And that is why the National Weather Service has that tag that we call it of a tornado possible. Where we have multiple tornado warnings right now. Look at this. All of these pink boxes. We're talking about Go Wire, Fort Dodge down there in Iowa, Humboldt, also Algona, as well as folks out there in Emmitsburg, as well as just outside of Manson. Now, we do have a report of a tornado on that one. We'll go in and take a quick peek at what's going on there, but there was a fire department there. Local fire department reports a tornado in the city or near the city of Pomeroy right now. So that storm system moving off to the east, and it's working its way towards places like Badger. So the air has some spin in it, and there is an outbreak of tornadic storms, or potentially tornadic storms. Some have confirmed tornadoes with them. But again, northern Iowa and heading toward the I-35 corridor north of Des Moines is where things are. South and west of Des Moines, we have some more storms that are making their way in that general direction. Here's a better look at the more regional radar composite down here towards Red Oak. We have a tornado warning out there. Carroll, Iowa. Notice this backward C shape again. So when you get that, we also are going to have some very gusty winds. And all of these little blue badges here, those are gusts that have been very strong as well. So we're taking a look at this. We'll get back to the coverage of ongoing severe weather here in a second. And if you do have a question, let me have that. Let me take a look at a couple. And I'm talking to you folks who have logged in from my YouTube channel. If you're new, my name is Hutch Johnson. Welcome. And for the past 30 years, I've been forecasting weather up here as a chief meteorologist on broadcast television, and now I have my streaming business and my streaming channel. It's wonderful to have you here. I'd love to have you hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like. It gets out to more people. Let's talk about your questions. Hey, Hutch, how are you doing? I'm doing good, Ethan. Thank you. Good evening, Clint. Good to have you here. Very good news. It's good to hear from you again as well, Ethan. And it looks like Wyatt says anything heading towards Faribault from that cell. So as you take a look at southern Minnesota here, we definitely do have these storms that are rocking right along the border. Now, these south of the cities, the southern metro area is going to get the thunderstorms. See the lightning bolts here. And the backward C shape says windy storms working their way through. So yes, Faribault, you folks will be seeing this. Owatonna as well as New Prague. And look at what's going into Chaska right now here. So we do have some strong thunderstorm activity, Minnetonka and the lakes area here, down towards Prior Lake and the Belle Plaine area. So all of these storms have a better chance at seeing some of the stronger, more stout the farther south you go. Now, if you get down into Iowa, then things are real busy out there. What about the Twin Cities? Yeah, so here's what I'm seeing. The risk for severe weather in the Twin Cities, and I'll highlight the watch areas here right now. Bear with me while I put this up so we can see where those watch boxes are for tonight from the Storm Prediction Center and your local National Weather Service offices. These big red areas here are tornado watches for Mason City, Iowa. That extends up into portions of southern Minnesota as well for these storms in the far southern flank. There's no watches in the Twin Cities. The risk of severe is much lower there. It is not zero, but there is a chance, and if there's going to be a chance of anything strong, it's going to be in the southern metro area the way it looks. All of this line is going to continue to work its way off to the east. Look at this, Maryville out here in parts of northeast Missouri, and get to Des Moines. These storms are going to be encroaching in the late night hours, and it goes all the way down to Salina, Kansas, there in central Kansas. And as we go through the overnight hours, it looks like these are going to merge and slide down to the south. We'll go through the hour-by-hour forecast here in just a minute, but thank you so very, very much for your questions. Now, let me take a peek here at what we have going on. Oh, I see a lot of you folks on Facebook, too. Thank you so very much for sharing stars. I hear that, and I appreciate all of it very much, Sherry. Thank you. Again, I can't see or read all of these comments as they're coming in for some reason, so let me see if I can pop this out. I don't want the condensed view. I want that. There we go. Okay, so thank you so much to everybody. I do appreciate you. Let's get right down to the forecast details, and then we'll come back to some live coverage of the events going on, because we want to talk a little bit about what's going on with our forecast. Number one, the severe now. We've talked about that. Now we're going to go into the rain ahead. There is more chances of rain. So we talked about Fargo getting missed, and if you're upset with Hutch, I really am sorry. I fertilized. I wanted that rain too, by golly. I wanted to see more of my Hutch Johnson rain gauge out there. But let's take a look at this. Here's the forecast. What I did, I took a look at this forecast rain or estimated rain from the radar. Pardon me while I pull this back up. Okay, here it is. So here's our estimated rainfall amounts. I went back through my logs. I looked at the forecast from several different models, and I said, which model did the most bestest with this? And I'm telling you right now, you're not going to get this kind of analysis from everybody you see out there. This is why there's a little bit of a difference over what you see in a Hutch's weather. The models that did the best with this pattern of rain and the location of it, not one of them hit it exactly. None of them. But the only one that showed heavy rain in northwest and north central parts of North Dakota, along with a batch close to the Red River Valley but staying west of it, and diagonally through South Dakota, and this tough stuff here, most models had well to the south. The best model was a Canadian model and the European model. None of them were exactly right, but I do like the higher resolution Canadian model. So you learned it here first, and this is how meteorologists who really analyze and care about what's going on move forward now. I know which model is handling this the best. I now know which one handled it best over the last 24 hours. I'm going to put a little more confidence into that model. So that's a forecasting tip for you. I'm going to use that quarter, and I'm going to use it a little bit more confidently moving forward. Coffee break. Yeah, I know it's late, but that's okay. I need a little more coffee. Okay, now let's talk about this forecast model, shall we? Okay. Hutch, what gives? What's going to change? We're going to use high-res guidance, but we're going to use the Canadian model. So please bear with me while I pull out of my pocket what I think is going to be the model that is A, handling the storm, the very goodest right now, and the one that I think may be having a better chance at handling it on into the evening hours overnight. Now, here it is. As we load this up, it's going to show, this model doesn't show exact isolated cells that are 10 miles in diameter. No, but it does show, and it did show the aerial coverage of the rainfall. Watch what happens as we set this into motion. Get your popcorn. I'm telling you, this is good stuff. Tonight, showers and storms move through Iowa as we go through the midnight hour and the wee hours of the morning, northwest Wisconsin. You got a chance for some rain to fill up your Hutch Johnson rain gauge. Meanwhile, out in the mountains of Wyoming and the I-80 corridor, have you ever driven that? You're driving across Nebraska, boom, you head out through Scotts Bluff and you're rocking out towards Cheyenne, Wyoming on I-80. You're going to run into some wicked snow. I mean, wicked snow, as they would call it, from the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? This snow is going to be flying. There's going to be wind, and there's going to be a lot of it, and it lasts all night, and it lasts all day tomorrow for many areas. Look at this nonsense. Why does it last all day? Is there a huge storm there? Not necessarily. There's a developing low pressure system, but the winds are blowing from the humid air in the Central Plains right up the Rocky Mountains, lifting the air, cooling the air and make it snowflakes like grandma makes pancakes. That's right. Easy. Okay, showers and storms moving out of Iowa. We'll move into northern parts of the state of Missouri by the time we go in the morning. Look at this. You're going to wake up and say, Hutch, what rain? We ain't getting no more rain. Aha! Yeah, we said there's a chance of rain, but remember, last week I said it won't rain all day Monday, but we'll have passing showers. Here we go. When will they pass? Well, the best chance is developing showers along this boundary here. These will be light. See the light green? Hit and miss showers. As we go toward the evening hours, you're going to make it through much of your day, and then shazam, here we go. Chance of rain. Eastern North Dakota, up north, a lower chance. But South Dakota, a better chance. A few flakes in the Black Hills of South Dakota. And here we go, as we head into your Tuesday morning, big time heavy rain in parts of Iowa and Missouri. And in fact, I think some windy thunderstorms will be in the offing there too. All right, check it out. Shadizzle, Shadazzle, and Shadingle. We got 1, 2, 3 bands of some heavier rain showers working their way through the eastern Dakotas. So the best chance of rain comes Monday night. You got to subtract 5 hours at midnight. So after dinner, say about 6 to 6:30, clouds get a little lower in the sky. A few raindrops start heading down. This is not this type of rain, but it is an area of moderate rain, and it lasts through the night. And then look what happens. It starts mixing with snow. If you're in the Rainy Lake area, if you're in Thunder Bay, if you are out here near the Lake of the Woods area, I do think you'll have a chance for a few flakes moving in. Wind from the north, clearing skies and quiet conditions in the western part of the Dakotas, and even finally quieting down in the great state of Wyoming so those cowboys can start shoveling some snow. You know what I'm talking about. As we enjoy quieter weather, it will be colder. Tuesday in the morning, our western counties out here in Montana and western parts of the Dakotas will have mighty chilly weather. We're talking some areas of freezing. Our chance here in the Red River Valley for the cold, cold air is going to be as we go into Wednesday morning as well. So keep that in mind. We could have some freezing on your plants, and that's no fun. So now this is the model that I like the best. What does it say about our chance for additional rainfall? Here we go, folks. Let's let it load up. It's thinking, calculating, carries the 1. Here we go. This does not include what fell today. This one does have an area between Grand Forks and Fargo that has a legitimate shot at a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of rain along that boundary. Could that boundary move? You betcha. But we do know that there will be a band of precipitation here and a band of precipitation somewhere around these parts. But the real heavy winters will be in parts of Iowa. If you look at this, there's some 5 to 7 inch rainfall amounts here from training thunderstorms. That's a lot of rain. Is this model out to lunch? I don't think so, but those type of readings will be quite isolated in places that get not one thunderstorm, but 1, 2, 3, 4 thunderstorms over the period of the next 24 hours. That's it. That's a season full of rain for some areas. Okay, so the best chance of rain, we're looking at Kidder County, Jamestown, Valley City, you're in it. The Highway 200 corridor from Cooperstown right through Mayville, you're in it. Grand Forks having a chance to pick up more moisture, as well as you folks in Fargo, Moorhead. But look how close we are to the cutoff switch, if you will, where it's just green and it's maybe another 1/10 of an inch of rain or 2. So if you're under a thunderstorm, there's a legit chance at a 1/2 inch or even more. If you're not under a thunderstorm and it's just the spits like we had today outside the Fargo Moorhead area, it's going to be like that. Thanks again for all your questions. New York Mills, nothing. Mike, I hear you. We didn't get much here. If you got nothing, then we got more than you. We had 1/10 of an inch last time I checked my rain gauge. Hi from Wahpeton. Dan, good to see you. Again, if you're just joining me on this live update, thank you very much. Let me know in the comments, did you get my notification on your Hutch's weather app? I want to take 1 minute. Stick with me. I see you all watching. I just want to take 1 minute of your time and let you know why Hutch's weather app separates itself from other weather apps. Number 1, you can see access to my latest videos anytime you go to the app. You just, at the top of the page, it's right there. And in fact, you can click up there now and watch the live anywhere you are. Camping, it doesn't matter. You can have it. You don't need your computer. Number 2, for severe weather season, which we're rapidly getting into. If you're in southern Minnesota, you're there now. And it isn't far behind in the Dakotas. Our peak season is coming up as we head into the month of June. With that said, this is the only app. It's exclusive that is going to give you a notification of approaching lightning to your area. If you're on the golf course, if you're on the soccer field, approaching rain, hopefully not approaching snow, but if there's approaching snow and you're using it in Wyoming tonight driving, Hutch's app is going to let you know that you're approaching an area in a winter storm warning. So number one, the big one is for this time of the year, and with the season that we had last year, is an ahead of the game alert to twisting storms. If a storm is twisting on the radar, Hutch's weather app often will give you an alert to a twisting storm in your area before a warning is even issued, giving you valuable extra time. So I encourage you to use the app, turn the notifications on for your area, but make sure you set it to follow you. And we'll do our very best here at Hutch's Weather to keep you informed. So thank you so very, very much for your support. Now let's talk a little bit more about the forecast. Now, here's the rain that actually fell in rain gauges. I wanted to tell you that we did have some reports of rain today. Pardon me while I get the right. Here's the precipitation today from my friends at the North Dakota Agricultural Weather Network. Northwest parts of North Dakota, 88 100ths, 1.06 inch, generally around 3/4 of an inch to an inch from the Williston area. It was a little lower, about 1/3 of an inch. But as you go east between the Williston area and Minot, we had some pockets with an inch. That goes into Mercer County for you and Hazen and Beulah. Oliver County there for Center, 33 100ths, 48 100ths in the Mandan area, and Dickinson, 39 hundredths. And Beach did get some rain. Remember how the radar estimate showed zilch? Well, 1700ths fell in a rain gauge there, run by my friends at the North Dakota Agricultural Weather Network. Jamestown Steel, look at this, 3/4 of an inch to an inch in and along the I-94 corridor, sneaking into you folks in the beautiful Cheyenne River Valley here in Valley City, and of course Lake Ashtabula, a solid 1 inch of rain or more. Now the Highway 200 corridor, as you go in towards Steele County here, 1.48 inches and a good 1/2 inch in and around the Grand Forks area. Polk County, Crookston, down towards Fosston and Fertile here, seeing about 1/3 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch of rain, even 4/10 as you get into northwest Polk. And then as you go out, there's Mavie at 26 100ths and some decent rain up in Roseau County as well. So that's what fell in the rain gauges for the day today. Now, let's take a look at your forecast, and then I will get to your questions. I see some stuff popping. I love it. How will El Nino affect our area? I got that question, and I'm working on a special video that we'll talk about later. Thank you so very much for that question. It's an intriguing one. Let's talk a little bit about your Monday morning. First and foremost, the Dakotas here. Temperatures will be cold in north central and northwest North Dakota with some 30s and patchy areas of frost. Still mostly cloudy, but as you get into Montana, it's going to be mostly clear, and that is where I think we'll see some frost out there. So if you have planted those gardens or plants out and you happen to be in and around, let's say, Glasgow, Wolf Point, and Points West, the area in and around Fort Peck could see some freezing temperatures or close to it. Now, snow in Wyoming, we talked about that. Low pressure keeping things very mild as you look across parts of Minnesota as we go through. So a closer look, Grand Forks 43, 42 for Babe the Blue Ox. How about War Road, 39 degrees there. Hallock, how about 43? And Winkler, 40 degrees. That's above freezing, ain't it? Yes, it is. As we take a look at the North Shore, temperatures in the 40s, a cool northeasterly wind out there, but our wind will have a more warming impact as we look into southern parts of Minnesota going through. And as I sneak back over here, you can see some 55 to 60 degree readings in south central and southeast parts of Minnesota extending into Iowa. For your afternoon, temperatures will be steady Eddie across much of the region. Low 50s for many of us. 40s here. Remember that rain will be moving up this way from central South Dakota. So at 4 o'clock, this is a snapshot at 4 o'clock, a few showers across the central parts of South Dakota, sneaking into North Dakota. This will be another chance for places like Fargo, Grand Forks, the Highway 200 corridor, and all, obviously, you folks in say Catherine down here south of Valley City and up to the north in Cooperstown, picking up some beneficial moisture. These showers will spread to the north and east and maybe mix with a flake as we go into your Tuesday morning up here. Look at the temperature difference though. Iowa, a lot of questions here lately. How come it's been so daggone windy, Hutch? Well, We are in a zone, and it's a time of year when our temperature difference across our region is extreme. 80s for tomorrow afternoon in parts of central Iowa. And then as we go out here, we're in the 40s. That's a 40-degree difference across our region. And a temperature difference that large creates a pressure difference that large. And that's what drives the wind. That's what creates stronger areas of low pressure. Temperature difference, oftentimes caused by different amounts of sunshine, but also wind direction, bringing south, humid, warm air into the region, and it's clashing with much cooler air still in parts of central Canada. That's what makes this time of the year volatile, and it only gets more volatile. All right, 50 Grand Forks for your afternoon. So we look down here into Wadena, 55 degrees, Brainerd Lakes area, same thing. As you go down towards Little Falls and St. Cloud, we're going to see temperatures closer to 60 degrees. For you folks in Duluth and the North Shore, low 50s is a rule. So you get up here in toward that Rainy Lake area, 48 degrees and low to mid 40s across the big lake up there at Lake of the Woods. That's your forecast there. 7-day planner. All right, we got a big weekend ahead. Here we go. 54 degrees and a steady temperature for many in the Northern Valley in the low 50s and upper 40s out there. I think Fargo has a shot at a 1/4 inch, and if we happen to get anything with any substantial longevity, we could see a good 1/2 inch. So we still have a chance to pick up on top of the 1/100th of an inch, 1/10 of an inch that we got today in the gauge, another few tenths, and it could be as much as an inch. Gusty winds from the north cool us off. Look at these morning temperatures. So Tuesday morning, be prepared to cover your plants. Areas of frost and freeze will be in the forecast. Then as we go into Wednesday morning, I think that's the cold one when the high pressure system plants itself right over the top of us. And then, and only then, we start a climbing pattern in temperatures, 60s Wednesday. Thursday looks like we're going to see a chance for some increasing clouds and maybe a few showers will be possible. As we go from Thursday and into Friday, that cools things off a bit. And then we really get to the weekend, the holiday weekend for Memorial Day, as we really salute and just remember all of those who have served our great nation. The weather looking like it's going to be in the 70s for many in the south and 60s to 70s up north. A Super Sunday is on the way. And then for Memorial Day itself, it does look to be fairly pleasant as well. So hang on tight. We got a few hitches in the proverbial giddy up as we go through the week. That's your forecast. So now let me know what you want to cover. If you have a question, now's the time to drop it. I'll try to do my best to keep up with you guys here. Hey, thank you, Terry. I'm proud of you too, and best wishes to you and your lovely bride there. I hope you're doing well. Thinking about you all a lot there lately. I do appreciate you. Sherry, thank you so much for sharing stars. Not much rain in Fergus Falls. Thanks for your report. Margot, thank you for your stars. Rick, thank you for your stars. Scott, thank you so much. No, they aren't. Lots ahead of schedule. And then let's see here. Nathan, good to have you on board. Alana, 5 drops in Northwest Campbell, Minnesota. I get you. I know you're ready for more rain, too. A lot of planting has gone on across Minnesota. Kara, thank you for joining me. How about St. Cloud? Got to tell you what, as we take a look at St. Cloud real quickly, I'll show up on the forecast. This is the forecast rain amount, and it's got about 1/3 of an inch here for Fargo. I think that's in the middle of the 1/10 to 1/2 of an inch. So we have a shot at some more. And then as we sneak out into St. Cloud, there's going to be another round of severe weather, mainly in southern parts of Minnesota here. So out towards St. Cloud, you're going to be in that 1/3 of an inch to maybe 1/2 of an inch if you can coax a few of those thunder showers to meander in your general direction. Lower amounts to the north near the Highway 2 corridor are expected there. I hope that answers your question, and thank you very, very much for joining me here on Hutch's Weather. Maribeth, I appreciate it. Hutch's Weather Facebook, thank you very much. Is Hutch's Weather app free? Granted, it's absolutely free. Search Hutch's Weather in your app store today. I'd love to have your feedback on the app, by the way. I think it's something that will keep you and your family safe, and we're putting even more into changing it up and making it more usable as we move forward. I believe it is, says Bunny. Thank you for answering questions for me. I can't see them as they're coming in sometimes. Very windy in Glencoe. Yes, you're very, very close to the stormy weather there to your south, but some thunderstorms blowing through indeed. I hope you fared well, BA, and thank you for your support as always in the stars. Okay, good. I got those questions answered. Now let me see, as I'm squinting to read my monitor over here, let me put this up so I can read it more better. Okay, thank you very much. Love the app as I drive to California. It's cool when it lets me know what's coming before I get to get to it. That is really cool. So as you're driving along, if you allow the app to follow you, even when you're not using the app, that's an important setting. And it'll ask you that right when you download it. If not, you can change it in your apps settings menu there for the Hutch's Weather app. But it is important because what if you're tonight driving through southern Minnesota and you don't live there and there's tornado warnings? You would want to know. So let the app do its job and turn it on and allow it to follow you even when you're not using the app. Okay, let's see. I think I've gone through all of that. We talked about the twisting storm alerts. Thank you very much for your El Nino question. I do appreciate that, and I am going to get to that here in the Northern Plains. El Nino and La Nina are not as clear-cut as they are in other parts of the world. So I'll put together the best that we can for you, and we're going to have a chat about that in the future. Watching from Dilworth, good to have you on board, Ethan. Thank you very much. So I think we've done that. How has Pedro been? Pedro, come here. Come on. Let's see. Okay. Let's check Pedro out. How you doing, Pedro? Are you doing good? He is my assistant, and he is lovely indeed. And he is also man's best friend. Are you my best friend? We got to have a little dinner. He wants some dinner. You want to eat some supper? You want doggy supper? Oh, yeah, he wants it. And thank you for asking about Pedro. He is the best, and he is always here to help me with the weather. The best co-workers around here. Gotta love it. All right, Andrew says, are you going to have a voice alerts with your weather app like I did with the other weather app? I'm working on it. I think, did you like those? Or were they a little weird? I heard from a few people, it's like, I was in the bedroom and I heard Hutch's voice. And that was a little weird. I can understand that. But I do like that ability to customize the app so you know what app is giving you the alert so you can pay attention to it. I have a question for you, and you can drop a comment here as we go into the late evening hours on this Sunday night. When I send a notification for, like I did for this video, I says, I'm going live at 9:05. Did you get that? And was it easy for you to connect to the video from the app? Were you able to say, yes, I'm going to follow that notification, and it opens the app and then you play the video and then you're live? Does that make sense to you? So I'm asking you how you like that and how that interactability is for you. I sure appreciate all of that. Now, in the meantime, while we're having that conversation and I wait for a couple of answers, I do want to take a minute and check out what's going on with our weather. Once again, I got to move this window out the way. There we go. Okay, so right now we have active weather. You can see here, this is rainfall estimates. So heavy rain pushing into southern and central Minnesota as these storms are rocking their way off to the east. Here's where these storms are. This is called a composite radar scan. It's where we take all of these Doppler radars and we super glue them together to make a radar picture. These are beautiful, and it's what you'll see on my app, and we're going to go over the app in a second. We're going to use it to show you the rain forecast. That's how we're going to close. Beautiful idea. Now, here's all your active tornado warnings. A couple are skirting the border here, and one crossing the border into Minnesota. And then you see this little line of thunderstorms right now pushing their way through southern Minnesota. That backward C shape that you see right here. Let me turn on my pencil, my crayon. See this little curve right there? That little backward C shape is called a bow echo. This is a long line of storms. It's not one thunderstorm. There's probably a dozen cells, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remembering that an average thunderstorm cell is about 10 miles in diameter, and that's it. So there are likely more than a dozen thunderstorm cells along this line. This radar imagery makes it look like it is a solid line of thunderstorms and everybody's getting red, heavy rain. Not the case. As we get away from the radar, the beam gets wider, so it makes it look like a larger area is being impacted by the heavy rain. Not always the case. So that backward C shape, what it means is it's bowing or pushing out in this direction where the winds are blowing the fastest. So oftentimes, right at the apex or right about here where my wiggling finger is wiggling, that's where we have the gustiest of the winds. So right now, that gust front, the gusty storms on this bow echo, whoopsies, I need to turn off my Crayola here. There we go. So That's moving through Waterville. It's moving through Kilkenny and heading towards Morristown right now. And Faribault, you were asking about Faribault. This is a very windy line of storms. Now, there's no warning for this right now, but this is likely where we could be seeing some of the strongest winds with that particular storm. Right now, if you're down near Fairmount and Blue Earth, this is another tornado warning on top of the ones you had earlier. This line of storms right here has produced a tornado south of the Armstrong area right now. As we take a look at that, we can get the details. So an emergency manager did confirm a tornado was estimated at the time via a webcam that they saw there 3 miles to the south-southwest of Armstrong. That happened at 9:28, and it can be awful difficult to see tornadoes at this hour of the night, particularly from that side of the storm. So you're looking down south into the storm. It is moving right in the general direction. You can see it just danced. The new scan coming in pushed it right into the Armstrong area. So all of these looks like a solid line of storms. It's not. It's individual thunderstorm cells, and as these storms get closer to radar sites, they become more clear. There has been an extension of this tornado warning just now as you go out towards Tatanka, as well as the Forest City area, Britt, and on in towards Lake Mills and Fertile. Not Fertile, Minnesota, but Fertile, Iowa, for those of you watching here in the area of Minnesota. Now, what I want to do is take a more detailed look using what we call single site radar data. And I'm going to pick the radar that's closest to the activity. And that, in all likelihood, is going to be out here in and around the Des Moines area. So as I pull through, let me see if I can pick a fancy radar site here. Where are you? There you go. Okay, let's go with this one. Again, sometimes in Iowa, we have this same problem where you get far away from Sioux Falls, you get far away from Des Moines, you get far away from the Twin Cities, and these storms are in radar no man's land. This is a Boeing line segment. Very gusty straight line winds are likely, and along that leading edge, we call those QLCS style tornadoes quasi-linear systems. And what that does is, not everywhere is going to see a tornado, but we've got tornado warnings along this whole area because we get these outflows, and those can generate little spinning areas. So now with this high resolution radar data here called single site data, we can take a look at the spin. Again, a radar beam shoots up as it goes away from the radar site. So as this radar beam is leaving Des Moines, it's getting higher and higher the farther out it gets. So as we get out here near Fairmount, that radar beam is very high in the cloud, sometimes 1.5 miles to 2 miles up there. And what that means is we're going to be looking at an area so far above the ground, even if it's seeing spin, it doesn't guarantee that it's down near the ground. So what you're seeing here is greens showing very strong winds toward the radar in Des Moines. That's it. It's just telling you how fast the wind is blowing toward the radar. If the wind is blowing across the radar beam, it's going to measure a 0 value, and it's not going to be able to tell you anything. The reds are wind away. So what we'll be looking for along this is these little areas here where we see reds and greens right next to each other. So we see reds and greens next to each other all along this entire boundary here, and anywhere along there we could get a spin up. Now here are where we have the interesting areas. There's a little notch right here. There's a little notch right here. And that could lead to some, well, also stronger pockets of wind that are making their way towards Des Moines. So downward motion and then the upward motion. So that's what we're looking at. A couple of different areas of concern near Lehigh as well as the Duncrombie area. As we take a look up a little bit more, to the north, we've got Thor, we've got Godfield, we've got Eagle Grove, and we've got another interesting area here near Vincent, and then right here on the boundary between these, just outside of Fort Dodge. Certainly gusty straight line winds. If we read the warning from this, that warning has just canceled. But if we read this warning down to the south, it gives us a little bit of an idea of what's expected. So under 3/4 inch diameter hail, but tornado has been indicated by the Doppler radar. That's going to be the main threat with this storm system. And we could certainly see some very gusty winds because as we look at the history of these storms, we've had numerous reports of 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts as we went out to go out to the east. So that is in and around Let's see, Sac City out there, 70-mile-per-hour wind gust. South of Storm Lake, we have a wind gust of 59 miles per hour, rather, from the wind station measurement there. So we definitely do have some very windy storms working their way through. Here is a look at the tornado warning. And as we get up here a little bit farther to the north, remember, we're very far away from the radar, but we do have 1, 2, 3 tornado warnings. This one here near the Fairmount area, as well as Sherburne, just south of there, has reds and greens right next to each other. There's your shear area there, and that storm is moving off to the north and east. And as we take a look a little bit closer, it's heading in the general direction of Blue Earth now, and it's moving northeast at 53 screaming miles per hour. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the Chanhassen radar here as we zoom in a little bit closer. I'll see if I can get a look at that. So pardon my wandering eyeballs here where I'm looking for the radar. There it is. Okay, so as that gets loaded up here, what we should be a little bit closer to the radar site and see a more precise estimate of where the tornado is. So we've got very strong motion away from the radar here, strong motion toward the radar, and it's right here along the state border right now, moving in this general direction toward the I-90 corridor between Fairmount and the Blue Earth area. So that is what the radar is detecting right now, 53-mile-per-hour winds. Let's go ahead and analyze where that storm is going to be and how long it will be there. So here's the rotating part of the storm right here. So let's see if I can, let's see, there we go. Oh, it's not letting me. Clear. Okay, clear that out. Okay, we got to clear that. My apologies here. Okay, let's try this again. So if the rotation is right here along this boundary, and it's moving off to the east-northeast, but it's moving at a 50-mile-per-hour clip, we're going to put that storm in Elmore by 10:01. It's now 9:47, moving towards Blue Earth or that area by 10:05. So if this storm's moving towards you, it's now time to seek shelter in a sturdy building. Okay, you want something that's anchored to the ground, so you don't want to be in a mobile home, a manufactured home. You do not want to be in a tent. You don't want to be in a camper, anything like that. Get out of those structures. Seek shelter in a sturdy structure. Get to the lowest floor. Hopefully there's a basement. In a basement, you're below the level of the flying debris, giving yourself and your loved ones a better chance of not being hit by that debris. Once you get to the lowest level, you don't want to be in a room with windows. Okay. I like to say put as many walls between you and the storm as you can put between you and the storm. And those walls help protect you from the flying debris. They make it fly through more walls to get to you. Get down low and wait for the all clear. Okay, so if you happen to be in Delavana about 10:15 and on towards Freeborn by around 10:41, if that storm continues in the same direction there. So that is a look at that storm. Now as we go up toward the Twin Cities, which is what you were asking, we have very gusty winds. I remember I was saying this backward C-shape, meaning that those storms at the most would have some winds with them. And this is very close to the radar. So we will get excellent Doppler radar estimates of how much wind this storm is creating. So let's go on and use some meteorology here, and we'll take a look at what we see. Now, as we go in towards Chaska, we see these brighter red colors out here moving, meaning that the winds are blowing in toward the radar site. And how fast are those winds? Remember, this is very close to the radar. So some of these winds behind the thunderstorms are pushing 55 to 60 miles per hour. There's a 61.7 mile per hour reading. Remember, the radar beam goes up, so this is a little bit above the ground. But when it's this close to the radar site, we could absolutely have some areas getting some gusts upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour in a few of these locations. So that's Hutch using a remote instrument to estimate what could be happening with the storm as it works its way eastward. Here is a look then at the radar from Minneapolis, and here is a very, very curved feature. See how it almost looks like it's got a comma shape to it? So this is a very windy storm that's making its way towards Faribault and now points north on the I-35 corridor. So it may end up splitting. One thing I pointed to you earlier with that other radar view, we saw what looked like a solid line of storms, right? I'm going to go back to that right now to make the point. When we're using a radar view like this, which is what you're going to see on almost any weather app or many other sites, you're looking at what looks like a solid wall. As it gets closer to the radar site in Chanhassen, what we're looking at here is now the radar can actually tell between the individual thunderstorm cells. One there, one there, one there, one there, one there, one there. Do you see what I mean? So now we can kind of see why sometimes as a storm is approaching your area, it seems like it's splitting around you. And I'll get people ask all the time, it's not a bad question. It seems like when we live here, we are protected from all storms because they always split and go around us. Well, what you're seeing is just a fact of the radar, that as storms approach and get close to the radar site here in Chanhassen, we can see more detail, and it looks like that solid wall of rain just split, and as it gets farther away from you, it then looks like a solid line of thunderstorm activity once again. So Minneapolis, St. Paul, you got thunderstorms rocking through the Twin Cities right now. Lino Lakes points out towards White Bear Lake. Shoreview seeing the storms exit out towards Hugo. Hugo, the home of a big-time tornado. That must have been probably about 8 to 10 years ago now. Minneapolis on the south and west side of town there towards Edina, moving right into downtown. St. Paul, the heavier rain is moving through the Twin Cities up towards Roseville. Looks like it'll stay north of you. Now, as we go down towards Eden Prairie, these storms are going to follow up the storms that were right behind it. So Edina, you do have a chance at that cell. See this little donut here? Remember the movie Twisters when they said, it's the cone of silence, and you're looking at a storm? Well, that really wasn't the cone of silence looking up into so this is called a cone of silence. It's a radar in and around where the radar is. The data right next to it gets really corrupt by things on the ground because the beam is so low. So it might hit a building, it might hit a tower, a telephone pole, and it makes it look like it's storming there. So there is a cone of silence around all radar sites here where we cannot depict much information out. So we carve it out like a hole punch, right? And take that data out. Chaska down towards Jordan. That's where we have some strong thunderstorm activity working its way off to the east. Not severe and not expected to be severe. If there is going to be something fairly strong, there's a couple of windier signatures near Jordan and just north of Faribault here, heading out of Kilkenny. And that's what I see going on in and around the Twin Cities. Okay, we now have a tornado warning here in Albert Lea, with nothing showing up on the radar yet. But you've got this big bad boy here and this big bad boy here. Now, what you're seeing is this comma shape. When you get a cluster of thunderstorms like this, remember we just talked about 1, 2, 3, 4, a dozen thunderstorms in this line of storms here moving along the I-90 corridor. Fairmount, this storm is right in your neck of the woods right now, but you see this curve shape? Sometimes a cluster of thunderstorms organizes and becomes what's called an organized system of thunderstorms, and it can develop its own rotation. It creates its own cold front here, and it creates a warm front with it. And as that happens, it creates a circulation that can last deep into the overnight hours. So this line of storms has this bowing shape to it, very gusty straight line winds that have hit over 70 miles per hour. Moving off to the east, we got another tornado icon here that looks like it's a fresh report. Let's go ahead and see what we got there. And that is from the emergency manager, a confirmed tornado from the emergency manager 2 miles south of Wesley. So this is a dangerous storm, a confirmed tornado at night in the dark. We don't want you out there looking at these. They're going to be hard to see. So if you happen to be in Garner, Forest City, these storms are moving right into your kitchen right now, Lake Mills on the outside. And again, if we take a look at this big area of storms, what we could see on the backside of these, oftentimes even well after the storm leaves, we form what's called a wake low. And if that happens, we can have gusty winds, even when the thunderstorm is completely gone, that are very strong and last for quite some time on the backside of this low that is exiting the region now. So that's what we see here. Tatanka out towards Garner area. Seek shelter, interior room, stay away from windows. I'll see if I can plot a look at the storm relative velocity to see if we can locate the rotating part of the storm. numerous areas of rotation. Right over Crystal Lake right now looks to be one of them. So there is an area of some rotation here. It's not pronounced, and remember, we're getting quite a ways away from the radar in the Twin Cities or Des Moines, so that's the area where we have rotation. There could be some rotation on the backside over here, not far from Britt, but I think this is the main rotation that's heading its way. So if you are in any of these communities, Thompson, Forest City, you have just moments to batten down the hatches and get to sturdy structure to seek shelter there. Amber, thank you very much. I sure appreciate you. Time flies, Hutch. The Hugo tornado was late May of 2008. It does fly. Oh man, that's a long time ago. That was a bad one. At any rate, this storm system moving towards Forest City and the Leland area is on its way to you. So again, low level. Put as many walls between you and this very windy storm and ride it out. Now, as we zoom out just a little bit more, we're going to see some details here moving in towards Fort Dodge. Moving out of Fort Dodge and heading right into Webster City is another tornado warning. That storm is about to be making its way into Webster City. I can tell because these little arrows here are pointing to where the center of the storm likely is. I will have to shift over to the Des Moines radar here to get a better look at this storm as we go in. So let me see here. I'm going to need to turn, pardon me, while I turn the opacity up on a setting here. So let's turn it up. Okay. So there it is. My bad. Okay, so now we're going to look at this radar here from Des Moines. Now, Hutch can see that radar site. Now, no question, that's the Des Moines radar. Now, as we get up here and we take a look, you've got a solid line of green, which is wind moving toward the Des Moines radar, and a solid line of red, which is wind moving away. And here is a brand new tornado warning for Webster City. So we do have some radar rotation showing up in this general vicinity, but it's really hard to depict anything more than that because the whole area has greens next to reds at this particular time. A couple of very interesting areas is right here to the north of Webster City, actually, to me, where there's a little notch in this right here. So right in that area. So Webster City, I do believe you are right on the precipice of where there is some pretty tight rotation and a cycle in the storm that's ongoing right there. And then this area here, gusty straight line winds are going to be likely. And then as you go down here in towards the Drayton area and the Stratford area, there is another rotating part of the storm. So this last tornado warning is huge. It was very large, and now we've confined it to mainly right here where we have the apex of the next Boeing segment, and right there and north and towards Webster City. So Blairsburg, Williams, you have some time there to prepare, and now is a great time to seek shelter and get in that interior room away from windows. Notice this. We've had a number of Iowa tornado reports tonight from across the region, all confirmed tornadoes here, and we've got a number of wind damage reports. Spencer seeing some of that activity going through there with damage reported to a grain bin out there, the grain elevator in Greenville. Branches and power lines also downed, and that's estimated from the radar to have happened at 8:49 as we cross into an hour after that. Matthew, thank you very much. Crazy lightning near Shakopee. Thank you very much for your report. And, you know, it's kind of odd to go from the season that we just left out of to seeing widespread storms like this. And we are very dry and windy and dusty here in North Dakota, by the way. So again, Albert Lee, as you look at the radar, there's no actual radar data coming out there yet, but you're in a tornado warning. Why? There is a solid line, an organized cluster of storms called a mesoscale convective complex is working its way up. The whole thing is rotating around an area of low pressure back here. I think we're going to have some very gusty winds on the backside of this. It may not be totally defined as a wake low yet, but it could develop into one if this overnight circulation develops and continues. See here at Forest City where we have some reds right next to the leading edge of the green. That's concerning. If you're in Forest City, you have a tornado warning there and an area of rotation approaching you. So all of this will be heading up towards Albert Lee, the I-35 corridor, and you folks out there on I-90 are also in the path of this. And you got more storms out by Blue Earth, which are causing a tornado warning right now as well. So here we see some bright greens next to some reds right here moving into Fairmount. This is a tight area of rotation just south of Northrop as we take that storm and it's moving off to the east again. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the actual radar data here so we can kind of unscramble this. So we've got a thunderstorm cell here, and you got another one back here. And this, see this shape here? This would be the center of this mesoscale complex of storms. When you get a bunch of storms that start working together, which is what we're starting to see here, they all have their outflows and the backside is, so there is some definite rotation right in here and moving up towards Northrop and Winnebago and Delavan as well. So those areas all in tornado warnings right now as this active weather makes its way along the toward the highway or Interstate 35 corridor. And now, the big events that happened today continue down in the areas of St. Joe's, southern parts of Nebraska here near Auburn. We have storms working their way in south of Omaha. So as we take you into the Lincoln area, I believe we've got a radar out here somewhere. Yep. Okay. So essentially, this line of storms has had a history of huge wind and huge hail. 3.5 inch hail from these storms pushing out of Nebraska City right now, crossing into southwestern parts of Iowa. Maryville up there in Missouri, as you go down here south of Nebraska City towards Auburn, Falls City, and into St. Joseph's in Missouri. That's a line of thunderstorms there with some reports of wind gusts with those storms exceeding 55 to 70 miles per hour as well. Here's a 71 mile per hour gust just moments ago as we look into that area of Burchard. So that's what's going on there. Des Moines, that's all heading towards you. We do have some stout thunderstorms. This is a huge thunderstorm warning right here. It includes Adair as well as Carroll. And just outside of Ames out there on the I-35 corridor, this line of storms, here's a backward C shape, right? We've been talking about those tonight. Very gusty straight line winds will be the main threat from those storms. As we take you in, this thunderstorm warning has tornado possible. It's tagged as anywhere along that leading edge we could have a tornado. So this is a good one to pay attention to. Seek shelter as it works its way towards these areas, including Cold Spring State Park. If you happen to be camping this weekend, please, please, please seek shelter in a more sturdy structure than your camper or a tent. That is a look at what's going on tonight. These storms are going to continue their way out to areas south of Rochester. We have a couple of storms out there right now. No warnings for those. Those are kind of disassociated from the storms that we have making their way through south central parts. This is that organized cluster of storms called a mesoscale convective complex working its way through. Here is the center of that low pressure center that these storms are forming. And on the backside, I expect we're going to have very gusty winds with those. Now, as you go from Winona to Rochester and point south on the I-90 corridor, we have some developing thunderstorms that will continue to affect that area as well. As we go into Wisconsin, I know we have a few loyal Hutch watchers out there. Thank you very much for all of you for watching and downloading my app. Nilsville out there seeing those storms as well. Please come north, Brian says, wanting some more rain too. There's going to be another chance of some thunderstorms tomorrow. Let me go into that too. So as we go ahead, and I do want to wrap this up. I've got dinner on the plate and I'll continue to cover and keep my eyes on things here. Your enhanced risk of severe storms for today is out here in parts of southern Minnesota and western Iowa. As we go through the overnight hours, I am certain that that line of storms and that cluster is going to continue to move through. So it will carry a risk of some severe weather even into the deep overnight hours. Kansas City, the yellow area, slight risk of severe weather. That means a few thunderstorms will be severe, but numerous severe storms. Omaha, and now moving out of this area here in southeast Nebraska, not far from Falls City, Nebraska City, working their way through those areas. Now, for tomorrow, as we start Monday, look at it, doesn't move far. And you see the red here. That is a moderate risk of severe weather. That's a high risk of severe weather in Salina, Kansas as we go through. So again, another development of thunderstorms that will have all modes of severe weather possible. We'll go over those real quickly. In Des Moines and Fort Dodge, all the way out towards near Cedar Rapids, Kansas City, all the way out here to near Kirksville, Missouri. As you go into Columbia, there's a slight risk. So all of these orange and red areas have a legit chance at some huge hail and very stout thunderstorms. Here is a look at what I expect with regards to these storms and what the Storm Prediction Center is expecting. And another thing to keep in mind with this is that this will be updated as we cross over the 1 a.m. time frame tonight and into tomorrow. But as far as what things are looking like, this area is under the gun for some pretty stout thunderstorm activity. Pardon me. Well, I come over here and take a look at the tornado risk. So the tornado risk, as you would imagine, here is that moderate risk. That means there is a 15% chance inside this area of seeing tornadoes. And all of this hatched area means is that that tornado risk is very large. And in fact, we could see some strong tornadoes, greater than EF2 in strength. And the EF2 strength tornadoes could be anywhere in this area. Notice that the chance of tornadoes is greatest in here in the red area, and the chance of tornadoes does go down a little bit into the yellow area. But if we have tornadoes, we could still have a strong one in Des Moines. We could still have a strong one in Kansas City, Maryville, and just outside of Kirksville to the west of you off of Highway 63 here, going down to Enid and Wichita. Strong tornadoes. And you see this area. Why is that highlighted, Hutch? That is an area that has a risk of tornadoes as well. And there could be a strong one there too. Even though the chance is a little lower of seeing a tornado, under 10%, it does look like if one forms, it could be strong. So strong tornadoes, a possibility tomorrow in the Central Plains. I'm sure there will be plenty of chasers out there. And if you happen to live in southeast Minnesota, we do have a chance for tornadoes. This brown area is a 5% chance of seeing a tornado within 50 miles of a point. That doesn't mean we're going to see one every 50 miles. There's just a 5% chance. But when you take into consideration that the average daily chance of seeing a tornado in the northern plains is somewhere under 0.5%, that's pretty high. That's pretty elevated. So Wisconsin, all of Iowa, northern and western parts of Missouri, that's your tornado risk. Here's the hail risk. 45% chance at seeing huge hail. This is big time hail because the hatched area we're seeing here means we're not just expecting 1-inch diameter hail, but 3 to 4-inch diameter hail will be a legit possibility. Inside this area, that risk for over 3-inch diameter hail goes way up. So 45% chance at seeing hail within a few miles of a point. And not only that, it could be really, really big hail. The atmosphere is loaded with energy here. And then when you look at straight line wind potential, that's what we're expecting to be a huge problem in Wisconsin. These are those blowers, right? And the thunderstorms come through and they create straight line wind gusts that have you scratching your head and thinking a tornado went through. They can be as bad and as destructive as a tornado. I hope you're getting some value over this. If you're just joining me, my name is meteorologist Hutch Johnson, covering weather for your Sunday night and into your Monday evening. That next round of storms will be making its way through the central and into the northern plains once again as we go through. I'm going to double check and see if we have any other questions here. Any updates on Hayward? Okay, let me go ahead. I'll see what I can do here for you. So as far as updates go, if you're asking for the latest, you're right in the area of all of the active weather. I see that we have numerous storms in and around your area here that are still making their way through. So let me pull the radar back up here. Thanks for bearing with me. Okay. All right. All right, single site radar data. So essentially in this area, let me just turn on the composite radar scan. You got we've been tracking this line, okay, of a bowing segment of storms. It's blowing through that Hayward area as we speak. It looks like it's through or going through Blue Earth and heading into your general vicinity right now. So yeah, that's you do have the tornado warning in effect for your area, but the storms are not here yet. So again, these are ones where you're getting plenty of warning. This backward C shape means big time windbag storms here. And Embedded within this windbag of storms going to be a few tornadoes out there, and we've had recent reports of tornadoes. These are moving in your general direction right over here as well for Hayward, and also these are. This whole thing is kind of working its way along the I-90 corridor. Up to the north, we have stout but not necessarily severe storms. So please seek shelter in your neck of the woods. How fast is the storm moving? If I go ahead and take a look at, we got a new tornado warning now here for the Lake Mills area as well as Mason City. So Mason City, here's what we got. This is a system that, look at how fast it's moving. When we get these line of windy storms like this, how do you keep up with a 63 mile per hour windbag storm like that? Gusty winds, dangerous spin, and tornadoes. So now that I know how fast it's moving, I can give you an idea of when it might be there. How about that? That would be helpful. Here's the leading edge of that storm based on the latest scan, moving northeast at 60 miles per hour plus. I'm going to put it up closer to 68 miles per hour because there's always a data lapse in time here. And now let's take a look at what this says. If you happen to be in or near Lake Mills 1016, rather, let me turn on the clock up here so you can have something to relate it to. So it's going to be in your kitchen soon. Seek shelter right now in Clear Lake as well as Mason City. So this is moving very fast. Manly moving very fast towards you. 10:27 will be the time. Albert Lee, Osage, and Austin as we approach after the bottom of the hour. 10:30 to 10:45. Spring Valley and Stewartville on towards that. Now I do want to point out that on Hutch's maps here, each of these colors represent 15 minutes of time. So here's the first 15 minutes, and here you are in Hayward. So you're going to be in about 15 minutes or so for this storm to move into your neck of the woods. So let's just say 13 minutes to be safe. That puts us at 25 after the hour. So this line of storms is going to be pushing through your area. Everybody is not going to see a tornado, but embedded in this very difficult line of storms here, where it's a solid line of storms, we have all these little notches on the edge of it, and any one of those notches could be producing a tornado right now. So it's something to keep your eyes on and seek shelter in your area. You have about 15 minutes before this thing races into your general vicinity. I hope that's helpful. I hope that answers your question. And thank you very much for your question. JC, thank you for joining. It's raining hard in northern Minnesota, but we needed it. Pamela, thank you for your help and your report. So as we look up into northern Minnesota, okay, check this out. We got big time rain on Rainy Lake, and this is a long ways from radar sites as well. There's Duluth, there's Mayville, and not all of this is always very easy to cover for the radars, particularly when we get low clouds that aren't the tall thunderstorms that are 60,000 feet high or 50,000 feet high. So thank you for your report. It looks like Fargo has another band of showers moving through, and thunderstorms near Morris and Benson. We talked about this. There was a chance for 1 or 2 strong storms, and here we are, Grant County, Elbow Lake, Wheaton, out towards Morris and Appleton, a couple of thunder showers. Will they be severe? I'm not banking on it. Is it possible? Yeah, but not necessarily likely. Let me turn on your basic surface conditions right now. We'll look at temperatures in the area here. And as we let this populate, you're seeing 45 in Alexandria. I don't think that 34 is correct there in Sisseton. I'm just guessing somebody threw a snowball at the thermometer. Seriously, Watertown? 81 degrees right now? It's 79. This is not right. Is that temperatures? What is it plotting here? Something tells me there. Okay, this is more gooder. I don't know what numbers it was plotting. That wasn't temperature. 48 Fargo. 55 as we go down here near the Lake Traverse area. So temperatures are in the 50s and 60s. A lot of the moisture and energy is being robbed from these storms by what you're seeing going on down to the south, where there is more energy in the atmosphere. And even in the midst of the tornado warnings that we have here, we are seeing, boy, just a solid line of tornado warnings continuing along that North Iowa border with southern Minnesota. This is moving really, really close now to the I-35 and the I-90 corridor. Iowa Falls, you've got a tornado warning making its way right into your area as well. So temperatures, even in the tornadic part of the storm, there are differences. We're near 80 in Waterloo, but we're down closer to 60 as you go off to the west on the backside. Remember, I was talking about this wake low. You can almost see it right here. Here's our circulation around the storm. South winds out here, east winds up here, and then it's wrapping around the backside. And back here, your gusty winds are coming from the west. And those west winds are now creating even more showers on that backside, making it feel like that thunderstorm is coming back at you again. But no, it's really just the wind on the backside bringing and ringing out more showers. So here we have a 9:23 report of some storm damage here. This is in Esterville, 1 mile north of town, 2 to 3 inch diameter limbs down, and the time was estimated by the radar there. So I'm expecting that these storms are not only going to impact the area when they first come through, but on the backside here, we're going to get a lot of very strong non-thunderstorm winds on the backside of that storm system as it works its way off to the east. We call that in meteorology a wake low, and that could be establishing itself right now. Notice that by Sioux Falls, now I can even see that you can even see like, okay, here's that low pressure. Let's go ahead and plot those pressure lines on there for us if we can. I know I can. I'm Hutch. We can figure this out. Here we go. So this will draw the centers on it. See this little low pressure center that's developing right here? So this line of thunderstorms is creating its own low pressure center, and this has it way back here. I think it's more co-located right up here. It looks like we have a flood warning or flash flood warning taking place here north of Sioux City, Iowa. We'll get in there south of Sioux Center near Lamar's, and this is a flood warning taking place from the heavy amounts of rain until 11:15 for that particular area. But again, low pressure centered right here in Sioux Falls on the large scale, but on the smaller meso scale, we have a cluster of storms that's starting to take on its own circulation, creating all kinds of nonsense as it's working its way through. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Twin Cities getting lit by some thunderstorms. Morris, Benson, Fergus Falls, Grant County, and you folks in Elbow Lake and Herman going to see some thunderstorm activity, and a few bolts of lightning could impact parts of southern Otter Tail County as you go off towards Douglas County, a chance for that activity to work its way. Will it be severe? Very low risk. Low risk in the Twin Cities, although you might have some windy storms south of the Twin Cities. And the main event going on right now, North Iowa and on the Minnesota border, pushing out towards Rochester, where we're starting to get some thunder and lightning associated with this system in what we would call the warm front zone. So isolated storms in these areas could quickly pop up with a little bit of energy, and your chance of storminess that could be severe is not zero. I'll tell you what's going to happen. Hutch is going to go get a drink of water and take a break. You are watching Hutch's Weather. The live stream will continue. So I will put you on a loop here. And if you have questions, drop questions, comments. I'll be back with a quick update here in just a few moments. For now, you're watching Hutch's Weather. Thank you for being a part of my weather. Thank you also for downloading Hutch's Weather app that gives you a heads up to twisting storms that are in your area and moving close to you. I will be back right after these messages.
You're watching Hutch's Weather live. We're taking a quick breather. While Hutch prepares the next data sweep, check in from your neck of the woods in the chat. Let us know what you're seeing out your window. It's how we stay weather aware together. Stick around. Hutch is back in a moment to take your questions and track the latest alerts. You won't find any hype here, just the data, the radar, and the truth. Thank you for trusting Hutch's Weather for your severe weather updates. But Hutch resends the maps. Make sure your notifications are turned on so you never miss a critical update. We're back real soon to keep monitor of the threat. Stay weather ready. You're watching Hutch's Weather live. We're taking a quick breather. While Hutch prepares the next data sweep, check in from your neck of the woods in the chat. Let us know what you're seeing out your window. It's how we stay weather aware together. Stick around. Hutch is back in a moment to take your questions and track the latest alerts.
All right, everybody, I'm back really quickly to give you a little bit of an update on what's going on here. Let me turn down some of the music. All right, here we go. So this is what we have going on as we take a look at the latest radar. Fergus Falls area and points south of you, a couple of thunder showers. We continue with tornado warnings. If you happen to be in Mason City out towards the Albert Lee area, these storms are moving right into your kitchen right now. A very dangerous line of storms, gusty straight line winds, some hail, and the possibility of a tornado anywhere along the leading edge. So you're getting close to Albert Lee at the I-35, I-90 cross section there. And all along I-35 and points east now into Mason City, we have a tornado warning continuing. And also Osage to Charles City have just been placed in tornado warnings as well. If you're in the path of these storms, we have a cluster of thunderstorms, numerous thunderstorms, over a dozen that are starting to get organized in what we call a mesoscale convective complex. So they're creating their own rotation. Back here, even though the strongest of the thunderstorms are through these areas, I do believe we'll still have that potential to see some very gusty straight line winds. Here is a look at those gust reports right now. And these are at measurement stations along the board. So at the leading edge of this Fort Dodge system making its way through, we have a gut measurement right now of 51 miles per hour. But even after the storms have moved through, 44 miles per hour in Carroll, Iowa. And we have continued gusts that are still fairly strong. Look at this out here in Fairmont, 49 miles per hour. So the main event pushing in right now. Ahead of the storm, you've got these south winds, not so bad. They're about to change direction quickly. So you've got south winds on this side of the storm, and on this side, west winds coming through. If you're in the path of these storms, make sure you're seeking shelter in an interior room. Make sure you have a good weather app like Hutch's weather app. Search Hutch's Weather in your app store today to get the very latest. Now, as we look at here, not severe storms out in the areas of southeastern Minnesota yet, but the main event is making its way off. These are moving very quickly at about 60 miles per hour. So as I'm going to time a few more, and then I'm going to go eat some dinner, and I'll be back and keep my eyes on things here for you. But active tornado warnings for these areas do continue. So we'll start with the Albert Lee area here, this little chunk moving off to the east at about 60 miles per hour or so. These storms are going to be making their way in towards the Glenville area by now, 10:33. You should be in your tornado safe area in Clark's Grove as well, 10:50 to Austin. These will be moving towards Grand Meadow and Spring Valley by the time we get to around the 5 to 15 minutes after the hour of 11 time frame as well. So that little neck of the storms, that's where those are heading. Now, notice there's no thunderstorm activity even in any of these pink boxes here, but those are brand new tornado warnings for this line of thunderstorm activity here. Big time winds here, little notches is what we're looking for in this as far as tornado risk, and not far from Mason City, Iowa right now. We have this little bite taken out of the storm right there as well. It's along those jagged edges of the storm that we can get these spin ups. It can be very strong tornadoes. Now, the latest measurement on the movement of these storms as I take a look, 61 miles per hour. So the Northwood to Manly to Mason City area, moving off to the east-northeast at about 61 miles per hour, will put these storms in the following communities. Let me get this out of the way. Plymouth by the time we get to 10:35, Osage by 10:50, Stacyville, Riceville, and Leroy. As we approach the 11 o'clock time frame, those storms are on their way towards your area at this time. So again, shelter. Do not try to ride this storm out in a structure that's not attached to its foundation. Get to the lowest floor and put as many walls between you and the storm as you can. Getting down towards the Jewel area, this tornado warning is for a storm system that's making its way to the east at a little slower pace, 44 miles per hour rather. And again, a tornado warning is in effect for that cluster of storms. Let's see if we can see any details on the timing. So here's the leading edge of that thunderstorm activity, east 44 miles per hour. I have to zoom out just a little bit to get that. Okay, here we go. So as we look at this, Jewel all the way out towards Ellsworth and Alden here, we're talking about 10:36 to 10:42 time frame. Iowa Falls by 10:51 and on towards Union by 11:12. So tornado warnings do continue. There is a tornado watch in the area as well. And that looks like this as we take a look at the watches. I'll put those up for us. Pardon me while my eyeballs are looking for them. There we are. Okay, so now tornado watches are continuing across portions of southern Minnesota and much of Iowa. This watch is in effect until 1 o'clock in the morning, gusts to 75 miles per hour, 2-inch diameter hail, and of course, some tornadoes along the path of the storm as well. As you go down into parts of southern and central Iowa, the Des Moines area included, severe thunderstorm warning for Des Moines right now, and 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts on that southern half with 1.5-inch diameter hail, and of course, tornadoes can't be ruled out. I'll keep you on top of things right here. I'm going to put you back on the break. We'll let this loop through and show you what's going on right now as we load up the radar data here. And I will be back as the storms continue their trek off to the east. Thanks for watching Hutch's Weather. I'll keep you informed right here.
The storm, anywhere, anytime, at hutchesweather.com. Don't wait for the next update to stay safe between Hutch's live reports. The Hutch's Weather app is your best way to stay alert. Grab it now and never be caught off guard by the changing weather. If this coverage is helping you stay prepared, consider giving the stream a thumbs up. It helps the system push these alerts to more people in the path of the storm.
All right, everybody. Hello, meteorologist Hutch Johnson here with an update as we head into the overnight hours. Now, we do have thunderstorms from Minneapolis down into parts of central Iowa. Still some concerns for severe weather, including tornadoes, hail, and gusty straight-line winds. Let's get you caught up with the very latest as we go through. By the way, Wyoming overnight is going to get inundated with a winter storm on the backside of this system. Here we go. As we look into Minneapolis and points north, we have a couple of thunder showers. These are not severe presently, not expected to be severe. Some hail upwards of around 1/2 inch in diameter, some gusty winds from a couple of these over 40 miles per hour. These are continuing to spread slowly across with some much needed rain. Lakeville and points south towards Owatonna. That's where the main event is. Now, as we look through, we still have an active tornado warning out here. This is Riceville. Remember that backwards C shape we were talking about earlier? This is a cluster of thunderstorms that makes up this whole area here, and it's an organized cluster of thunderstorms called a mesoscale convective complex. This mesoscale convective complex is rotating, not meant to make it sound scary, but that's what makes it a complex. And what's going on here on the backside of the low pressure center in here, we got gusty winds on the backside of this. These thunderstorms out here are not severe. You don't see severe thunderstorm warnings. They look like this, those little yellow boxes that you see here. But what we do have are very gusty winds that will continue on the backside of the storm into the nighttime hours. Let's get you caught up with what's going on with the latest with regards to this tornado warning here for Riceville. Now, Lime Springs and Elma have now been placed in a tornado warning. The tornado... Excuse me, it clicked on thunderstorm warning. I need to click on the tornado warning. Is in effect until 11:45. So for the next 30 minutes or so. 58 miles per hour to the east is the movement of this line of storms. Now, this whole line of storms that extends all the way back up into Minnesota has all these little notches on the leading edge of it, gusty straight line winds, and basically anywhere along there, we could see an isolated tornado. Let's check out the latest radar display of velocity to look for the spin in the storm. And for that, we got to take a look at where our radars are here. So let's go. Okay, pardon me while I get this turned on. We'll go ahead and... I don't really want to go to the Des Moines radar. Let's go to the Minneapolis radar here. This might be the closest one for now. And then as we oh, La Crosse. There we go. That's where it is. Okay, so as we take a look at the La Crosse radar, here is the radar site. Here is a look at the velocities, storm relative velocities with this storm as it works its way in. And for some reason, it doesn't appear to be picking this up at this particular time right now. Let me double check that. Maybe give it another scan or something. Let me load up a couple of scans and see if it gets any better. Some of the radars don't have the same range as others, so we'll see. Yeah, it's not looking so hot with our data here. So let me go ahead and go out and see if I can pick up another radar here that has a little bit more range. I'm just going to go back to Minneapolis. Okay, here we go. So now as we look down on the Iowa border, Osage area here, we do have the Riceville area. There's some greens and reds next to each other, but it's so far away from the radar. This is very high up in the storm. The leading edge of the storm is now moving in on the Alta Vista area and heading out towards Cresco, and that's where the tornadic activity is likely to be at this time. So if you're in the path of this storm, make sure you're seeking shelter in that sturdy structure in the lowest floor possible. Put as many walls between you and that storm as possible. There will be some gusty wind potential with the storm, and in fact, as we go north of Rockford here, we can see the potential for the storm. Look at that. 70 mile per hour wind gusts in Nora Springs out there with the storm, and that happened, let's see the timestamp on that, 10:34, so just moments ago. So still very, very windy on the backside of the storm as it works its way through. So you can expect a chance for a tornado, and then again, very gusty straight line winds in excess of 65 to 70 miles per hour possible with the storm. The yellow boxes, which do include the Rochester area and outside of Owatonna now, by the way, are severe thunderstorm warnings for hail that could be as large as a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch in diameter. But the main concern with this line of storms is going to be that chance for some gusts of wind at or around 60 miles per hour. Now, the tornado threat seems to be waning, but we do have until 1 o'clock in the morning the tornado watch in effect, meaning that those ingredients for tornadoes are going to still be out there as we head into the late night hours. Here's a look at those watch box areas, and we've added on now a new severe thunderstorm watch. So as we look at La Crosse straight down to, well, basically about that border here with Illinois and down to the Missouri border. Now, Des Moines still in a tornado watch for that particular area. Here's a look at the actual national composite radar that shows you that we do have a line of stout thunderstorm activity that extends all the way through Iowa and extends down into the northern and western parts of Missouri at this time. So this long line of storms is continuing its trek. A number of tornado reports from the activity tonight in northern Iowa and southern Minnesota. Thunderstorms in Minneapolis are not expected to be severe. The best chance at severe will be in the far southern reaches of the state of Minnesota and all of Iowa tonight under at least a tornado watch or thunderstorm watch, with the exception of the far western and northern parts of the state here, where the activity has cleared the area and it's all quiet now. In Sioux Falls, a couple of thunder showers. Sioux City, Iowa, same thing goes for Spencer. Windy thunderstorms are now on the outside of your area and moving off to the east. Still have some thunderstorms moving out of Nebraska now. So from Beatrice through Auburn and on in towards, down into parts of Kansas, we do have some storms rolling in on Manhattan right now, this line of storms. A few are severe. And again, we're seeing some wind reports being the main threat with some of these storms, upwards of 60 mile per hour gusts. Earlier in the night, these storms were producing some big time hail, upwards of 3 to 4 inches in diameter. So that's where the risk sits tonight. As we go into the nighttime hours, we do have some spotty showers along northern portions of the Red River Valley, northern Minnesota, a couple of Otter Tail County showers and thunderstorms after a very dry day there. Most of the showers and storms missed you. Alexandria here in Douglas County, heading down into Glenwood, Morris, and Benson. Those thunder showers are moving through. They are not expected to be severe tonight. Just some good old-fashioned, much-needed moisture and rain from those storm systems as they work their way through. Now, we do have winter storm warnings across portions of the state of Wisconsin for tonight, and the snow potential out there is redonky-donk as we go through. Now, check this out. Here's the I-80 corridor as you go through Cheyenne, right here. Now, as you get through Cheyenne and head into the saddle of the Rocky Mountains, as you go through Laramie and the University of Wyoming territory, Rawlins, and on out towards Rock Springs, there's going to be solid potential for snow. Now, what do these colors mean? This is the 50th percentile forecast for snow. It's the expected amount from these storms as they work their way through. And now what we're going to do is point out what a couple of these are looking like. So in Laramie, a good 5 inches of snow is expected. You get into the elevated terrain outside of town here, we're going to have some areas that could be as high as 10 inches to a foot of snow. So there's a foot of snow outside of Laramie, between Laramie and Cheyenne, in the saddle of the mountains, and you get up here into the big time peaks right here south of Hannah. Look at that. Over 2 feet of snow potentially here is expected in that particular area. Now, as you continue down I-80 here, as you're running through the saddle of the Rockies on that I-80 corridor, we're going to have some healthy amounts of snow on the north side there, 20 inches. But on the I-80 corridor, we're still expecting 10 to 12 inches of snow rocking its way through there. And this is by the day on Monday afternoon and evening. So 24 hours of snow potential. Rock Springs, you get down on the downwind side of the mountains on the western slopes, and the amount of snow will drop off pretty dramatically. So upwind side of the snow, boom, catching every flake here between Riverton and the Pinedale area. 2 feet of snow worth. You get into Pinedale, you're on the downsloping side in the shadow of the mountains, and you're protected a good ½ inch of shovel trouble for your particular area. So big time Wyoming snow will be making its way through. We could see some in the Black Hills to the tune of 1 to 3 inches expected by the National Weather Service forecast office there. Out in the mountains of Montana, in and around Yellowstone Park here, we get 1 to 5 inches of snow, but a little bit more as you get north of Cody and outside near Red Lodge, Montana, where Hutch learned how to ski. Not very well, I might add, but at any rate, I did learn or tried to learn. So that's what's going on in the region and the nation. And this will conclude my coverage tonight of what's going on across the region. We still have a risk for isolated tornadoes, gusty winds, and severe storms in eastern parts of Iowa. And this will push into Illinois, Missouri, as well as parts of Wisconsin as we go through the nighttime hours. So here's one last look at what's going on with the latest on the radar. Tornado warning, thunderstorms across parts of western and central Wisconsin now. So Eau Claire all the way out to Wausau, Rhinelander, a smattering of thunderstorm or thunder shower activity developing there. Here's the main surge of a complex of severe storms that is working its way up to the east. Severe thunderstorm watch in eastern Iowa. In the next hour and 45 minutes, the tornado watch will expire. Anywhere along this leading edge of the thunderstorms tonight, there is the possibility of a tornado. Here's a couple of good points, though, and good things to keep in mind. We're seeing a promising trend that the number of tornado reports is going down. Probably because it's dark and they're hard to see if there are some out there. So if a tornado warning is issued for your community in the eastern reaches of Iowa or reaching into far southeastern parts of Minnesota tonight, or even central Iowa in and around Des Moines, then pay attention to that and seek shelter and get away from the windows. Stronger storms now tonight are still pumping their way through parts of central Iowa, I-35 right down through the midsection and I-80 here at the corridor. Here in Atlantic, the storms are moving out. Once this line clears out, you're in good shape. And then as we head into the day tomorrow, there is still a risk for some severe storms in and across the state of Iowa and southern Minnesota, Wisconsin. This is your risk for severe storms. Tornado potential is quite high in and around Salina, Kansas, and all the way through Des Moines for your Monday afternoon and evening forecast. So that is for Monday or for tomorrow. I'll take that time step up so you can read that a little better. So this area, similar area, same ball and dance, but strong tornado potential for tomorrow. What does that mean? The chances of EF2 or greater, which are strong to violent tornadoes, are going to be a little higher as we go through the day tomorrow. A little bit more energy and spin in the atmosphere for your Monday. Thanks for watching Hutch's Weather. Thank you so very much for all of your kind words, comments, and let me see if we have any other questions out here. Like the videos, would like to learn more about the app and how to use it. We can definitely show you more of that on Hutch's Weather. I like to integrate that into my broadcasts from time to time. So, hi again. Good to see you, Brenda. Thanks for watching. Is this still live? It is. This will be my last update for tonight. Overnight, thunderstorms will be clearing out of parts of Iowa as we go through the deep overnight hours and into the morning. Severe thunderstorms are going to be possible. Large hail and gusty straight line winds will be the main threat. We can't rule out some tornadoes, particularly in the next hour or so. in parts of eastern Iowa and far southern and eastern Minnesota as we go through. And this risk of severe storms is in your forecast tomorrow. One more review of your forecast for those of you watching from the Northern Plains. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I've been covering weather like this for the better part of the last 30 years as a chief meteorologist on broadcast television. And now I'm streaming from my own platforms here at Hutch's Weather. So thank you very much for your trust. Thanks for watching. And if you do like the content, please hit the like. Well, share the word that Hutch is out here watching the skies for us in the Northern Plains, and I'll keep you updated right here. One more review of that 7-day planner. This is for the home base of the Fargo Moorhead area here. In the upper Midwest, we are expecting cold weather for the next few days. Some frost and freezing conditions will be possible Tuesday into Wednesday after the cloudy and rainy weather exits. Another shot at some rain in Fargo could lead to 1/10 to about 1/2 inch of rain. Some lucky folks in the Southern Valley and parts of central Minnesota could pick up between 1/2 inch and 1 inch of rain. 60s as we go through midweek will become 70s briefly on Thursday. Then a chance of some rain will lead to some cooler weather briefly for Friday. Then the big weekend ahead for the Memorial Day weekend. It does look like the temperatures will start rebounding in a big way, and that should last into Memorial Day for many here in the Northern Plains. So some warmth to follow up the nonsense that's going on with this cold weather. The rain, much needed. I'll keep you posted. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will keep you updated right.
This has been a Hutch's Weather Update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching Hutch's Weather. Anywhere, anytime at Hutch's Weather.